Welcome to another episode of the Retirepreneur Podcast. I'm your host with this week's executive summary for busy entrepreneurs building their second act business. Today's episode is designed for maximum impact in minimum time. So today we're launching a deep dive into, well, a really specific challenge. It's one that faces a lot of our audience like this, the successful, experienced professional who's transitioning into their second act.
Right.
We're focusing on how you can escape what we've started calling the expertise trap.
Mm-hmm.
And we want to lay out some practical step-by-step strategies. These are really for professionals, say 55 and older, looking to reinvent their business path. But, crucially, without sacrificing that financial security they've spent decades building.
Yeah, and that's key. It's important to acknowledge who we're talking to here. A retirepreneur, as we see it, is someone moving past that, let's say, secure corporate career maybe, into their own venture.
Driven by purpose, flexibility.
Exactly. Purpose and flexibility, they're high achievers, definitely. But the biggest hurdle we see, and the research that Retirepreneur founder Kurt Rose's team compiled really highlights this. It's this fatigue, this feeling of being trapped by your own success.
That's such a good way to put it. The expertise trap. It's not your standard burnout, is it?
Oh, not at all.
It's more that deep conflict between what you are exceptionally good at, the skill that lets you easily command a high hourly rate, say $200 an hour.
The thing everyone expects you to do.
Right. That versus what you are genuinely energized by now in this new phase of life.
And that right there leads straight into this paradox of mastery we see. You're not tired because you're pulling 80-hour weeks anymore. You might only be working 40 hours, but you're tired because you're doing the exact same thing you mastered, 10, 15 years ago?
Okay, unpack that for us. Why is that sameness, that repetition, sometimes more debilitating than just a heavy workload, especially for someone who's reached mastery?
Well, what's fascinating, I think, is that high-level professionals, they get their satisfaction from solving new problems, right? From applying their genius in novel ways.
Mm-hmm.
But when you reach that peak mastery, the tasks, they become routine, almost second nature. So you're applying this incredible high-level expertise, but the emotional reward is, low level.
It feels aligned.
It feels like an insult sometimes, honestly. You're using a multi-million-dollar skill set, honed over decades, on a task that now feels monotonous, even if it pays well per hour. The source material points out the fatigue is really emotional exhaustion from the repetition, not physical exhaustion from the effort itself.
Wow. That's a huge insight,
Yeah.
especially for our audience who've probably been conditioned their whole careers to believe that pushing through fatigue is just what you do. It's a virtue.
Exactly.
But this isn't just about feelings, right? There's data that backs up this kind of emotional friction.
Sure.
Gallup, for instance, found only about 33% of experienced professionals describe themselves as fully engaged at work.
Only a third.
Which means 2/3, the vast majority of the experienced workforce, are likely dealing with this exact kind of emotional disconnect on some level.
And it's hard to admit. It's really hard to admit that the thing you are absolutely best at in the world is now the thing that drains you the most.
Yeah.
And that's why we need to frame the diagnosis strategically. It's not a personal failure. You just need a clear signal, something that helps you move past the ego that comes with mastery.
Okay, so what's that signal? The material gives us a self-test, right?
Yes, a very simple, honest one.
So for you listening right now, you need to ask yourself this one question and be brutally honest with your answer. If money were not an issue at all, would I choose to spend 20 hours a week doing this specific kind of work?
And a no, or even just a strong hesitation, a maybe, that's your immediate signal. It's time to think about strategically realigning things.
And we know this audience wants to keep contributing, keep working. AARP data from 2023 showed 53% of adults 50-plus plan to work past traditional retirement ages.
That's right. But they're looking for different paths now. Paths where their expertise and their sort of excitement or energy can actually align properly.
Okay, so once you have that diagnosis confirmed, yes, I'm in the trap or I'm heading that way.
Yeah.
The natural next question is, okay, how do we fix the delivery method?
Mm-hmm.
And that strategic question leads us right into our second major actionable takeaway. Implementing what we're calling the platform shift solution.
Yeah. And the core insight here is really powerful. You probably don't need brand new expertise. You need new leverage.
Leverage.
The problem usually isn't what you know, it's how you're delivering it. So the platform shift is simply taking that, maybe 3 decades of deep knowledge and experience,
All that wisdom.
all that wisdom, and funneling it through a different mechanism, a different channel, one that generates new energy for you and potentially new scale.
Let's look at how that shift actually changes the emotional load, the burden. The material has some really good, concrete examples of these kinds of value-driven shifts, specifically for second act entrepreneurship.
Okay, think about the classic hourly consultant. Feels constantly tied to one client's urgent deadline, right? That's high-pressure execution.
Been there.
Right. So the platform shift there could be moving from that hourly consulting grind to, say, teaching a cohort-based class or a workshop. You're teaching the same core skill, the same expertise.
But the delivery changes everything.
Exactly. Instead of being just a hired hand executing tasks, you become the leader of a community, a teacher. You build an asset, the course material, the structure once, and you sell the teaching experience many times over.
Okay, another example. What if you're doing really grueling, highly personalized one-on-one coaching? That's another high-effort, time-for-money model.
Yeah, very intensive. The shift there could be launching a structured, more scalable group coaching program, or maybe even a self-guided online course. You move from directly trading your hours for dollars to trading your structured wisdom for scale.
Less direct time dependency.
Much less. And another powerful shift we see quite often is moving away from the hands-on implementation. The actual doing of the work. Like running the specific software or building the financial model yourself.
The technician role.
Right. Moving from that to designing the framework, the templates, the premium operating manuals that others can then use, you become the architect. You're monetizing your methodology, your system, not your direct physical or mental labor hour by hour.
Okay, but I have to push back a little here. Isn't building a whole group program or creating some comprehensive framework, doesn't that just trade one kind of execution fatigue for another? Doesn't creating that new platform require a huge upfront energy investment?
That's a really important question. And yes, it requires energy, but it requires different energy.
Okay.
The initial lift, building the course or the framework, yes, it can be high. But typically it's creative energy, it's design energy. And for many professionals, that kind of constructive work actually refills their tank.
Instead of draining it.
Exactly. Repetitive execution tends to deplete you over time. Creative construction often fulfills you. Plus, think about the leverage. Once that asset, that course or template is built, the energy required to service, say, 20 people in a group program is often pretty similar to the energy required to service one very demanding hourly client.
That's pure leverage, like you said.
It really is.
Okay, so that reframes the risk quite a bit. If we connect this back to the bigger picture, the expert analysis you mentioned earlier basically confirms this is just pure risk management, isn't it? You're diversifying your energy portfolio, not just your financial one.
That's a perfect way to put it. You're intentionally spreading your effort across maybe a couple of different delivery vehicles, maybe some consulting, maybe a workshop, maybe a digital product, until you find that sweet spot, that model where your joy and your income truly scale together.
And the success of this kind of strategy, it seems to be showing up in the numbers too. The U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics data, it shows self-employment among professionals aged 55 to 64 has jumped, 10–12% since 2020?
Yeah, a significant increase. And that growth isn't primarily coming from people just hanging out a shingle to do the same old thing they did in their corporate job. It seems largely driven by people finding new ways to share their knowledge, their methodology teaching, creating frameworks, group models, new delivery methods.
So the expertise is the solid foundation, and the platform shift is the strategic lever you pull.
Got it.
But,
okay,
the biggest fear for any experienced professional, especially one used to a certain level of security, is wasting time, or worse, capital, on an unproven idea.
Absolutely. Analysis paralysis is real.
So how do they test these new platforms, these new ideas, without having to quit their current income source immediately or getting totally frozen trying to figure it all out?
Okay, that brings us perfectly to our third actionable insight, the micro-experiment framework. This is specifically built to respect your time, your current income needs, and provide maximum emotional data yield for minimal investment.
Emotional data, I like that.
It's the antidote to either jumping in way too fast and risking too much, or staying stuck overthinking forever.
And we really need to stress, this framework is designed to be super efficient. It's for professionals who still need to keep that income flowing right now. The source material outlines a very pragmatic 80-20 strategy.
That's right. So you establish your financial floor first. Dedicate, say, 80% of your professional time to the proven income work, your existing consulting, your contracting, whatever pays the bills reliably.
Okay, the stability bucket.
The stability bucket. And then the innovation lab is that crucial remaining 20%. You protect just 5 to 10 hours per week. That's it. And you commit to that for, say, 90 days.
90 days, 5-10 hours a week, manageable.
Very manageable. And the goal during that time is purely to run small, low-risk tests. Tests that give you that emotional data we talked about before you commit any significant time or money.
And talk about financial feasibility. That's huge here too, right?
Yeah.
Well, okay, the median startup cost for a typical home-based business might be around $5,000.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Effective micro-experiments, the kind we're talking about, often cost way less, under $500 easily, sometimes even under $100. It's really just about testing the concept and testing your energy around it, not building the entire empire on day one.
Exactly. Let's run a quick hypothetical. Say you were a retired CFO, tons of financial expertise. What's an absolute lowest stakes test you could run using this framework?
Okay, a great simple test. Record 3 short, maybe 5-minute polished videos. Use your phone, good lighting. Explain the 3 most common, maybe costly financial spreadsheet mistakes you saw small businesses make throughout your career.
Okay.
Post them on LinkedIn, maybe YouTube. See what kind of engagement you get. But more importantly, notice, did you enjoy creating that content? Did explaining it feel energizing? That immediately tests your enjoyment of content creation, and if there's even a tiny audience demand for that specific niche knowledge.
Simple, fast feedback. Or another idea. Host one 90-minute, maybe free or very low-cost Ask Me Anything session over Zoom. Focus it purely on, say, tax planning tips for first-time entrepreneurs. That directly tests your enjoyment of live group teaching, that interaction. And you'll see who shows up, what questions they ask. Again, quick data.
Or you could even create a really simple digital product, a one-page checklist, maybe a well-designed spreadsheet template for basic small business budgeting. Offer it for, like, $29 on a simple landing page.
Just to gauge initial demand.
Exactly. Gauge demand, see if you actually enjoy the process of building a scalable little asset like that.
And I really want to underscore this. The primary goal here in these micro experiments, it's not immediate cash flow. You're not trying to replace your income in 90 days with $29 templates.
Right.
The goal is gathering that crucial emotional data. Which of these activities made you lose track of time because you were so engaged and energized? Which ones felt like a heavy chore even when you only did them for an hour?
That clarity.
Yeah.
That's the real prize.
That clarity is the most valuable asset you can gain in those 90 days. Because that information tells you exactly where to pivot next, where it might be worth investing more time or capital, and maybe where to apply the other 80% of your energy once you're ready to transition more fully.
You know, if we zoom out for just a moment here, this whole tension we're discussing, balancing your deep expertise versus exploring new ways to deliver it,
Yeah.
it really feels like more than just a business strategy. It's kind of a life strategy, isn't it?
Absolutely. You're likely moving past the phase of your career driven purely by obligation or climbing the ladder. You've earned the right, the freedom really, to design your days around what gives you energy, not just what meets a financial necessity.
Yeah, earn the freedom. I like that. And the ultimate outcome we're aiming for here, the sources call it building freedom equity. What does that actually look like?
Freedom equity. It's about creating sustainable resilience, a more balanced approach. Think of it like a sturdy 3-legged stool supporting your second act. Maybe one leg is some income from low-effort content assets you've built, digital guides, templates. The second leg could be group programs, workshops, teaching things that scale your time better.
Mm-hmm.
And the third leg might still be some highly focused premium consulting or advisory work, but on your terms, working only on projects that really excite you. That diversified portfolio supports both your purpose and your profit, but with far greater stability and, frankly, less stress than relying solely on one high-pressure income model.
And let's not forget the inherent strategic advantage that our experienced audience already has. That experience, it translates directly into credibility, to networks, into discipline.
It's huge advantages.
The stats show entrepreneurs age 55 to 64 actually have the highest rate of new business formation. They account for about 26% of all new entrepreneurs. Your experience is a massive asset, not a burden to escape.
You just need to maybe channel it differently now. Apply that incredible discipline you used for decades to master your field. Apply that same focus now to curiosity, to experimentation.
You've already proven You have the focus, the skill to execute complex things. Now it's about applying that same energy to testing new, maybe more exciting ways to share that genius.
Exactly.
So the provocative thought we really want to leave you with today is this. Your creative energy, your curiosity. That might be the most valuable asset you have left to strategically invest. If you've proven your discipline over decades, now is the time to apply that same skill to exploring what lights you up. Don't wait for the perfect grand idea.
Just start small.
Start with one small, maybe under $100 test this week. Just see what happens. See what energizes you.
Use these micro-experiments as your bridge, your way to redefine what success looks like in your second act. It really is time to build a business that serves your life, not the other way around.
That's your executive briefing for this week. If you found value in these insights, share this episode with fellow retirepreneurs and subscribe to the Retirepreneur newsletter at retirepreneur.com. Follow us for weekly strategic insights, and remember, your most successful chapter is just beginning. Until next week, keep building.